it's Jen from Shabby Fabrics with the Simply Sweet table topper for January. This is the final project in our series. I cannot believe it's already been 12 months. Of course, mittens, it's winter, it's cold here in Idaho. It's literally snowing outside right now. Darling mittens with some simple but elegant embroidery, and we have something special for you today. This is not embroidery. This is something we've done for you. It's something called a knockout. More about that in just a little bit. And of course, this project coordinates beautifully with our foundation paper piecing project for January, a beautiful snowflake. I love it when projects can coordinate. If you have not checked out that series, our customers are loving this. And if you're anything like me, I resisted foundation paper piecing for over a decade. When I finally learned how, I'm like, what took me so long? So be sure to check out that tutorial and see how fun and easy this is to do. And of course, kits available as well, how fun to coordinate the projects. Okay, let's dive into this month's project and let's see how we're going to put this together. Check out this amazing table topper with these darling mittens, and this here, to give you a break, that is not hand embroidery. That is some laser cut magic we created here for you to really just add to the fun. Let me just get right to it right now. We have these amazing lasers in our building here, and we love using them to the maximum of their ability, and just really kind of thinking what would be just so welcome to make it so that you don't have to worry about stitching those perfect swirls. They're done for you, so that the only stitch we're worrying about on this one, not even worrying about, but having fun, is putting in our beautiful snowflakes, just accentuate an already beautiful project. So this is what we call a knockout. And if you haven't had a reason to buy a kit, this is the one. I can't even imagine trying to cut out those like with an X-Acto knife. I probably wouldn't even attempt that. I'd probably be doing a back stitch. As you can see, getting the kit, everything's included. The only thing you'll need to be adding is a little bit of fusible fleece and any notions you might need. So for this month's project, we've been kind of giving you some options. Sometimes we've opted to do our hand embroidery here and then put it onto the background. In this case, for this month, what we're recommending that you do is to go ahead and trace on your, I'm just going to put this aside. I'm kind of jumping ahead of myself because I'm excited about this one because of that knockout. I love having things that surprise and put a smile on a customer's face. So as always, you get out your diagram that's included inside your pattern, 2 sheets, tape them together, cut out your shape. That's what we have here. And as you can see, these are the swirls. Again, maybe you're just picking up that pattern and you want to do that back stitch. Be sure to check out, we've done a lot of back stitching through this series. Be sure to check out those videos if you want to learn that, or pick up our hand embroidery guide and it'll certainly talk you through that. But for you who has the kit, if you're going to be picking up the kit, you can skip that. The only thing you'll be doing on your cream shimmer background, this is called Fairy Frost, the color is Snow, has this beautiful shimmer like snow does, is we're turning on our light box and we're simply tracing where our snowflakes will be. We're using a micron pen this time, not a friction pen. Remember that friction pens erase with heat. And we're going to go ahead and draw those on, and now we're going to be transferring this to our background and doing our embroidery. So that's why we're going to be using a permanent marker, not a temporary marking tool. So very simple, we're just lining everything up and drawing our lines. We know at the very end of that line we'll be putting a French knot in there. You could draw a little dot if you wanted, not needed. We'll be certainly going over that stitch, and you're just going to go around and trace on all of your embroidery. Once you've done that, now we're going to look at our applique. We're not going to stitch anything yet. So of course we love being able to pre-assemble our mittens. Your shapes are going to come pre-cut to you. I just could not resist using this one. That's quilted fabric, right? Mittens are supposed to be quilted or knitted, some kind of texture. right? This is how they'll go together, but of course we know we need to have a barrier between our diagram and our shapes, or they're going to be ironing to our paper. This is where the Aplique mat comes out. So we simply, it's kind of like quilting by numbers. Place our mitten down, our cuff goes on top. Move everything over to a wool pressing mat or your ironing board using a medium heat. We just let our iron to sit there for about 5 to 6 seconds. Those two layers will merge together, and you're doing that for all of your mittens. Then you just need to wait to let that cool down, and I've got a couple of these other ones done ahead of time so we can start the process while that one's cooling down, and we'll add that one as well. So let's bring this to our background, get everything lined up. And this is just when we begin to lay everything out and the magic begins. How fun is that? And we can peel this off. How fun. I love the Aplique mat. Back in the day, as they say, before Aplique mats and applique pressing sheets existed, you're just bringing pieces onto the background one by one. It's a really fun process to be able to pre-assemble everything. Notice how I've kept the paper backing on my background. That allows me to bring this to my wool pressing mat. I don't have to worry about this ironing to my wool pressing mat. Have I done that before? I'm afraid I have to admit I've done that more than once where I forgot. I took off my paper backing, transferred this over to iron down some applique shapes, and you can imagine that was quite a mess, and I had to basically start again. Once all of the shapes are ironed down, this is where we'll remove our paper and simply bring this to the background. And I could not resist showing you what this looks like. Because of this cut through we've done with our background, you're seeing the blue snowflakes showing through. Get this removed. Have to be just a little bit more careful because of those cutouts. Isn't that so cool? Let's move that out of the way. I just visually look at the spacing, right? You could go and measure if you want to be absolutely exact. I'm just kind of visually looking for this valley to line up with that valley and have about the same distance left to right. And now we iron that down. Isn't that so fun to be able to see the background coming through those cutouts? You know, while I am ironing this down, we would love to hear from you. What should we be doing next? When we're at the end of a series, for me, it's kind of all, it's like, what's next? I'm already looking for what's next. And of course, I'm hoping to make you happy. So if there's something you would love to see us do, write in the comments. We read every single one of the comments that you write. And our goal is to bring you what you're hoping to see. Obviously, we can't grant every wish, but when we start seeing the same, people are requesting the same thing, it really sets us off in a direction of let's design that. Let's bring this to our customers. So we would love, love, love to get your feedback. Now that this is down, you have the option of doing the hand embroidery now, or you can go ahead and stitch the shapes down. For me, I like locking shapes down before I start doing any hand embroidery, because remember that fusible webbing is only temporary. It's just to hold it in place while we use our thread to stitch everything down. And of course, I should have put this down as well as my shape, but I can put that down now, no problem. This month's thread set is a 3-piece. We have 2 50 weights. They're these beautiful blues. And then we also have a 12 weight, and you can see what we did here as we've been doing in previous months with our 12 weight, which is a heavier thread to stitch around the perimeter, as well as around kind of accentuating those swirls. You didn't have to do the stitching on those, but now you can just stitch alongside them, and it really added a lot of beauty to that. And of course we used our 2 blues to stitch down all of our applique shapes. I would do that first and lock that down. Once that's done, now go ahead and grab the embroidery floss that's in your kit. We're using a Richard Hemming size 4 needle, whatever needle you have at home would work. 2 strands of embroidery floss, and we'll get up close. It's a very simple stitch that we're going to be doing, but I want to go ahead and show that to you, and we'll also apply the bead. It's just a sweet little detail that really, depending on the light in the room, you can kind of catch that, kind of that flicker. It's a glass bead. So we'll get up close and I'll show you the stitch for this month's project. Okay, so we're all set up for embroidery. This is kind of my go-to. I recently found these little mini pressing mats, and I'm finding them perfect for needles. So I'm like, I want to know where that needle is. If you work on miniature projects, you might enjoy that. Thread magic. We're going to be doing a lot of going into the same location. There'll be a lot of contact with the embroidery floss. I'm just going to run this through here, not a have to, but if you've struggled with any amount of tangling, thread magic is a great help. If you have any trouble threading the needle, Clover Needle Threader is a great option. All right, the goal here, let's look at this one here. We have the big snowflakes and with the little snowflakes. The little snowflakes, easy peasy, right? You're just hopping from side to side, coming up, no problem. On the larger snowflake, we're going to come from the outside and go to the middle. Go to the outside, come to the middle. Always from the outside to the middle, and in the end we'll add the bead, and we'll also add in some French knots, just to kind of accentuate that snowflake. So we just come up from the bottom and go to the middle. You can see that intersection there. You could go on opposite sides, you could go right next to it, really doesn't matter. We're just trying to hit that center over and over again. I like putting in all the spokes and then going back and doing the French knots. I think I'll put my bead on the very end just for the fun of it. Okay, let's come back out to the end of one of the spokes and we'll review that French knot. And depending on how big you want your French knots to be will be dependent on how many wraps you do. We'll start off with 2 wraps, which is kind of a standard. Thread is off to the left, assuming you're right-handed now. Needle's in front and horizontal, and we'll wrap around the needle twice. So let's just do that once and twice. Pivot down, holding some tension on the embroidery floss so we don't create a little bit of a bird's nest there. I've definitely done that. And in it goes. Then we come to the next spot. Let's do that again. Comes up, floss to the left, needles in front and horizontal, once, twice, pivot down, going back down through the hole that you came up from, trapping that embroidery floss, pulling through and letting go just at the very end. I'll do one more and then we can just put our bead on. If you want, let me just demonstrate, if you want to have that bigger, more profound, easy. Simply either add more strands of embroidery floss or do more wraps. I'll do 4 wraps, 1, 2, 3, and 4. You'll see the difference. You can get whatever you want by bulking up the thread or adding more wraps. Looks like that one got tangled on its neighbor there. And you can see, right? Twice the wraps, twice the size. Makes sense. I prefer that daintier one, but I just wanted to show you, you can bulk this up if you choose to and want a more profound particular knot. And of course, just to add that bead back in the middle, easy peasy, come up through the middle, and we chose some beautiful kind of aqua glass beads. Add that in, back down through the middle, and we simply tie off in the back. And because your thread is really very close to the background color, you're really not seeing too much of that. And I've always said, you know what? No one should be looking at the back of my project, right? Everyone should just be admiring all of the beautiful work we did on the front of our project. And there you go. And that's it. And let's just look at how pretty that is, right? How pretty that is. And the light just kind of picks up the bead. Once you're done with that snowflake, go ahead and tie off, and obviously you're moving to the next location to complete your embroidery. So you can see the project for January is much simpler than it looks, having that nice knockout and the simple hand embroidery and a little bit of a bead accent. We really hope you have enjoyed the series. Again, a reminder, leave the comments. Tell us what you've loved about this series. Tell us what you want to see next. We read all those comments and really take that to heart. Thank you so much, and I'll see you soon on another Shabby video.